All right, it is top of the hour. Welcome to the Attraction Mastermind call. Excited to be here with you today. It's been a few weeks. My man AJ has been holding down the fort and interviewing some success stories here at EXP. We got a modern day success story with us today here. Aaron Novella, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing great, brother. Appreciate
Um,
being here with you guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into wins, and I want to hear what all your wins are from the last week. But Aaron, I know one of your wins. Can you share with the group what you had happen last week?
Yeah, so I when I initially got into this, I realized that what we're doing is not unique. Lunch and Learns is not unique. Third party calls is not unique. Social media as a mechanism to get in front of people is not unique. It's the model that's unique,
Yeah,
right? So brokerage in the cloud, equity, rev share, that's unique. What I'm doing that's unique is the execution of what you and AJ have said to do. So I didn't reinvent the wheel. So we're doing lunch and learns every single month. I've been doing that since probably October of last year. And now what I'm doing as we continue to grow and build, I've personally brought 38 people in those 15 months. That's turned into 184. We onboarded 37 agents in the last 30 days. So what I started to do is to find people within the organization that I believe can build. And then I'm equipping them because at build they said the kind of the revenues and leadership and duplication, and I believe that that's very true. So I'm duplicating myself, right? So last month we had 4 events happen, but I personally was only involved in one of them.
wow,
There's
no,
other people in the organization that are starting to do their own events. And last week I flew out to California with my sponsor Jose. It's the second time we've done it, and did a live event. We had 100 and I don't know 50 people in the room, and then we do a formal presentation of EXP at the end.
what's that transition feel or look like
Transition in terms of,
from the training to the EXP?
oh, it's really good. And I learned something, John. So when I first was doing this, it was like, listen, we're about to transition now and have a formal conversation about EXP, the model and the opportunity. If that's not something you're interested in, we love you anyway. We hope we add
Nice.
some amount of value, but and we look forward to adding value to you in the future. I do propose that you stay for a few reasons, and I went into that, but people would leave.
Yeah,
So my wife did a presentation while I was in California. She did one here and did a formal presentation EXP at the end, and nobody left. So I was like, "What'd you do?" And when she got to the end, she was like, "Well, me and Aaron have sold 2,000 homes in our career, and I personally," she was talking about herself, like, for the last 10 years, I was trying to figure out a way to get off that treadmill, and I didn't really know what that was until we found this vehicle. So what I'm going to do now is share with you that vehicle in hopes that it could be helpful or useful to you in some way. And just she went right into it, and nobody left.
and nobody left.
Listen,
They
so John, she told me that on Thursday. On Friday, I did the same thing with 150 people in the room. Nobody left.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing, dude. Why miss out on the opportunity to get somebody in front of the information when they're already sitting there getting value from us?
That's right. And what I learned, because Jose hopped on a call with AJ one time, and he recorded it, and I listened to it, and AJ was like, "Look, if you have asses and seats, you're presenting. Period. Like, you're always having the conversation. It was just a matter of that transition because we were having a lot of people like, they would bounce. But with that little tweak, 2 times, nobody left. So it was good.
Awesome, man. Yeah, a lot of times it's just a shift in ourselves before we get into a different result externally. And I've really seen a shift in you over the last 90 days. I'm not sure what that is yet, but if I had the time to unpack it, something changed in you, and now something is changing outside of you.
Yeah. So a couple things. One is there was a story that somebody told at Build that really stuck with me, like the story of a dad who was tucking his daughter in at night, reads her story, sings her a song, tucks her in. And then he goes to sleep, and everybody's sleeping. It's the middle of the night, maybe 2 a.m. He hears a really big thud, runs upstairs. He's like, "Babe, what happened? You fell out of bed. How did that happen?" And she looked at him and said, "I wasn't all the way in."
Wow.
And that is very interesting to me. So prior to making I used to own part of Keller Williams' office, and I've done, I did 2,000 transactions in my career. So I did all of that. And I had the right idea of leverage. I just had a rudimentary understanding of leverage, truthfully, an elementary understanding of leverage. And it wasn't until I read a book like The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, which he talks about the 4 different forms of leverage, which blew my mind. It wasn't until I listened to Alex Hormozi talking about the opportunity ladder and choosing vehicles that, yep, bro, that should be required reading for everybody. And it wasn't until, like, I heard Alex Hormozi say something which is very interesting. So everybody on this call is hardworking, smart, and ambitious. Would you agree with that, Kimmy? Is that true? Yeah. Hardworking, smart, and ambitious. So check this out. If you take 2 people, both hardworking, smart, and ambitious, one chooses a vehicle that compounds and is highly leveraged. The other one chooses a vehicle that is not compounding and highly leveraged. If you check back in with them in 20 years, this person will be 100 times ahead of this person. But you know what's so interesting? The work is the same, Kimmy. The hustle's the same. The grind's the same. The presentations are the same. The only thing, listen, the only thing that is different is vehicle selection. That's it. So when I recognized, oh, interesting, I looked at all of the vehicles that I had at my disposal. And if I'm 42, the average human gets 75 years on planet Earth. So I'm about halfway through. Whatever's left, I'm going to sleep through a third. So whatever I'm going to choose to stack my time on top of, I need to make sure that it's super high up the opportunity ladder and it compounds. So look at all of the opportunities you have, because we have all these opportunities as like aggressive, smart, successful people that I could choose to spend time with. Ask myself one question. Does it compound? Second question, is it leverage? If the answer is no, it's not worth my time. The second question I ask myself, the filter that I put through is, can I make $1 million a year doing this? Otherwise, it's not my time. When I got clear on those 2 things, I realized it was this. So you know what I did? I let go of everything else. I let go of $850,000 a year in income selling real estate. I let go of all the other stuff, shifted all of my team, resources, human resources, and financial resources to this. And that's why I believe we're getting that, because there's power and focus. And people would rather own 3 businesses that make okay money than one that makes a lot, because of like ego and shit, right? So, but that's why we're getting those outsized outcomes. That's why, we're growing at 20%. That's why it took us 10 months to get to 100, and now it'll take us 6 months to get to 200, or 7 months. So it's starting to compound and just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's what it was, John. That internal, it just, I got it. It made sense to me, and I let go of everything else and just went 100% in that direction.
That's going to lay a perfect foundation for this call today. I appreciate you sharing, brother, and I'm excited for your success. I got that text from you this morning, and I'm like, oh no, he's going to go to 250, and half the time he thinks he's going to go to 500. He'll be 1,000 by the end of next year. Like, it's on, brother. Let's go.
I love it, dude. I love it. That's the goal and objective, man. Try to be like you when I grow up,
Who else has got a win that they want to share with the group?
I'll go, John.
Do it.
I actually did have somebody that I was working on for the last year and a half finally come on board fully this week. And he's excited. I've known him for a little bit, and I wouldn't do this for everybody, but it's funny. He was literally on vacation when he said, I'm ready. He signs up, and he's got 3 buyers that he asked me to just cover for him. And again, I'm busy myself. I usually wouldn't do it. Don't all 3 buyers go under contract? I put all 3 buyers under contract for him. So he's like jumping out of his skin. 2 of them have to list their house. So he just got back and listed both houses in 2 days, used my photographer, used my cleaning people. So he's like jumping through the roof. He's bringing possibly 3 other people with him. So that was a huge win. I kind of needed that, because I got a lot of momentum going forward, but it just needed some people to start popping off.
Awesome, brother. Congrats, man. Tom, going to you.
Hey, John, good morning.
Morning.
So it's a big deal for me. Got 10 on my front line, and so I made the leaders board. Woohoo! 8 of them are FLQAs, but working on that. Now I'm going to work on the next group to get into. So,
Sick, dude. I love it. Who else? Things are starting to pop off right now. everybody I'm talking to is starting to experience more growth than they have been over the last 6 months. So I think that's, a sign of like this new market we're in stabilizing, and also a sign that like, hey, people are ready to make change. So it's all good stuff. Who else has got a win they want to share?
Hey guys, Corey here.
I'll share.
I was Timmy for a second.
I got you, Corey.
So the real Timmy, please stand up. No, I'm just kidding. I have someone who's joining our organization really soon that I just think it's incredible what we have. And the win here is that there's people that are willing to support each other, even if they're not, in our organization. So she wants to start a property management group. And as you guys know, like EXP doesn't allow that, and she needs a broker in charge. She's not eligible yet. And so there's someone who's willing to do that for her until she's ready to be BIC eligible in North Carolina. So I just think that's so freaking awesome. And I'm excited that was her, objection, and we were able to handle that. So just wanted to share that.
Awesome. And hot off the press, Leo Pareja is spearheading a new division at EXP for property management. So reach out to him in Workplace and ask him to get you the details on that. This is brand new, announced, I believe, this week, and hasn't been announced, I don't even think, everywhere yet. So just kind of like maybe send him a message and say, hey, when can we get access to this? But yeah, super exciting stuff. Two wins I had that I wanted to share with you guys, because maybe it'll give you guys some ideas about some people that you've talked to in the past. But a guy that I was working on several months ago that went cold on me, went cold not because he didn't want to join EXP, he just went cold because he was wrapped up into a contract with Compass that's going to be, 6 figures plus for him to get out of, and he just doesn't have the capital to pay out of it right now. But here's the lesson. So just like when I ran a real estate company or real estate team, we get on the phone with leads and we disposition the leads as now, later, or later, right? You all do that, right? It's good practice. So for me in my real estate business, the way that it always worked was, if they were now, at a minimum, we're going to talk to them once a week. Really hot ones, we're going to talk to them every day. But by no means are we going to let a week go by where we don't talk to them. Otherwise, people are going to fall through the cracks. They're going to buy through another agent. They're going to buy with that new home sales consultant. You're going to lose buyers. If they were, a B buyer, meaning like, hey, they're not going to buy maybe in the next 6 months, but like anytime after 6 months to a year is game, then we're going to follow up with them at a minimum once a month until we identify that they're hot, and then we'll switch the frequency. If they're later, like, hey, they came down and visited me in my market, but they're not going to move until they retire in 7 years, at a minimum, I'm going to follow up with them once a quarter. So this person was, hey, I'm not going to move to EXP for about a year. Cool. But at a minimum, I'm going to follow up with them once a month. Because I think the tendency is like, we know they're not moving till next year, April, May, June, whatever that time that they told us. And we wait till, I don't know, March to reach out to them again. That's the mistake. You've got to have a disciplined frequency that you touch these people with. So what are we going to do, right? So this guy's like, next year, I'm like, okay, minimum once a month. So my task came along my desk, and it was like, hey, reach out to this person. It's that 1 month mark. And I'm like, okay, this person's luxury, they're with Compass. Oh, I just saw a new flyer that came along from EXP Luxury. It was like one of those like books that you turn online. You like hit it and the page flips, like really, really nice. So I sent it to him, and I said this precisely. I said, hey man, wanted to send this over to you. Imagine how great EXP Luxury is going to be by next year if it's already looking this good. He wrote back immediately, and we got re-engaged to the point where yesterday he spoke to my attorney in Charlotte, and he's trying to get out of his contract now to come now. And I signed him up for EXPCon. So it's like, we just have to stay in communication with these people until they're ready. And they're not all going to make the move immediately. But I think too many of us, myself included, are not setting up the proper follow-up systems to keep these people in a nurture sequence until they're ready. and we're relying on them to get back to us or for time to go on, and then we're losing people. So hopefully that's encouraging to you. Another person that said yes to me today that's coming over was somebody that had said yes before and then said no because she couldn't get herself to break up with her broker, who's her cousin. So family dynamic there. But I'm always trying to look for creative ways. And when I send a follow-up, I want it to be something of value add. So I sent a follow-up to her, knowing that healthcare is one of those follow-up value add items. And I just said, hey, I know we've talked about this before because we have, but a lot of my people are getting amazing plans and rates through our healthcare options. And I wanted to make sure you had the opportunity to get a free quote for yourself. So she went and booked a free quote. The healthcare that she has none of in her family right now because her husband's a builder was so good and so affordable that she now has the courage and is breaking up with her broker cousin this week. So just two things that happened real world for me that I wanted to share with you. Before I move on, anybody else have a win they want to share, and then we'll move on. Awesome, guys. So I think Aaron just, man, he just got me fired up, because if we weren't already committed and excited, and I know we are, we wouldn't be on this call, but sometimes we need to get recommitted. It's why we go to the events, and it's why we come back different than we came. But he just laid the groundwork for, we're in the best opportunity, and we're super fortunate, blessed, and lucky to have this opportunity before us. But what are we doing with it? Are we treating it like we're blessed and we're lucky to be here? And, you know, I think that what I've seen in him and what he explained as he removed the distractions and he went all in on this leverage point. So now my question is, as it relates to agent attraction, what are our highest ROI activities? And this is open for discussion. Like, we can list them out in the chat. What are the highest ROI activities that we do inside of this opportunity?
Yeah. So I have like just an idea about this. So I think I was telling Jose this recently. So these events that I'm doing are very highly leveraged. And there's 5 things that are happening at one time. The first thing that's happening is I'm training our current partners. The second thing that's happening is recruiting. The third thing that's happening is content. So we had a videographer with us the whole time. Jose rented a Rolls Royce, and we're driving around shooting content and all this other stuff, because I want you guys to understand something. The more people that can see you at one time, the more money you'll make.
Yep.
The more people that can see you at one time, the more money you'll make. And frequency equals familiarity. So if you see me all the time, you get more familiar with me, and it helps with those 8 touches. Like John was just saying, like, hey, sometimes people aren't ready now, but guess what? It's quantifiable, measurable. As you consume me more, the probability that you'll do something with me goes through the roof. So not only do we get, are we training people, our current partners, we're recruiting and we're helping them to recruit. We're getting content. Number 4, if you have courses, which we do, people buy them. And number 5 is you're creating culture. So it's a very highly leveraged activity. You're doing multiple things in that hour and a half to 2 hours. It's one of the highest leverage things that you can do. The second thing, in my opinion, that's the highest leverage thing that you can do is social, because it compounds. I never really realized that until recently. What the real value of it is that as time progresses, the audience gets bigger. And as the audience gets bigger, you can service that audience in multiple different ways. Like literally 2.5 years ago, I thought social media was for my wife to post pictures of our kids and like dinners. And we went from 2,000 followers to 10,000. We went from touching 2,000 accounts to 250,000 accounts per month. We're posting on all channels 3 times a day, because frequency equals familiarity. And it's part of the kind of fuel that causes everything to, you know, kind of explode and get really fast, really quick. Now, I'm aware that some people have done that without it. I do believe, I was talking to Lars about this, is that even as you've built stuff out like John has, he has 2,000 agents, he still has to have a mechanism for recruiting people to the front line, because people leave. And I don't know anything else that you can do that'll touch more people than media. So I think that those two things are the highest leveraged activities that we could be doing in the attraction game.
Yeah, dude, I totally agree with all of what you just said. And I want people who are feeling challenged by what you just said to speak up so we can have a conversation about it that's going to service everybody here on this call listening now or in the future. But yeah, your content's everywhere, dude. Like, I reached out to you last week and I found out you were doing an event in California and I was in California and we just kind of like made that connection a little bit too late. But I would have loved to, met up with you after your event and had dinner with you guys over there. But as soon as like I made that connection that you were there, I started seeing your stuff constantly online. I'm like, man, he's pumping out a ton of content. I was there, to Aaron's point, because I'm working on a media strategy of my own, and I was out there filming content for that strategy. I do think it's important. I was talking to Lars yesterday, and Lars has got his coaching company. Well, I don't have a coaching company anymore. But Lars was explaining how important that coaching company is for him, because long term, it's going to give him opportunities to keep that front line open. If we're not doing something like that, we have to be doing a media strategy, or we have to be running a real estate team at a high level. I don't see any way long term that you're going to be able to consistently and predictably, maintain the front lines and the levels open that you need, unless you're going to do the hardest work out there, which is pick up the phone and dial people. And people can do that successfully too. But make no mistake about it, that has the least amount of leverage.
Yes.
So we have to say, and that's the conversation that we're having today is, what are the highest ROI activities you can do? I would argue that the person picking up the phone and making the calls is doing more than most of us on this, because at the end of the day, the highest ROI is going to be getting into a conversation with somebody about EXP and showing them the model. Now, if we can do that through leverage, like Aaron's doing it, where he's accomplishing 5 things with one event, more power to him. I put my money on that racehorse. 5 years from now, the guy who does an event every week is going to be ahead of the guy who's even doing the call every day.
Yeah.
This is what it is. So, these are just things that we're having a conversation about. And you might be sitting there and saying, but John, I can't do an event, or I wouldn't want to do an event. That's outside of my comfort zone. Hey, that's all fair game. We all have our comfort zone. But as a coach, as a mentor, as a leader, let me challenge you for a second. How could you get comfortable with that?
That's right. And I think the other thing that's true is realize the leadership component is relatively it's different, because I went from being the person that was responsible for the results to being the person that's responsible for the people that are responsible for the results. It's a completely different skill set. But part of people only change, to John's point, for 4 reasons. One is they feel enough pain that they have to. So you've been on appointments on Saturdays. I missed my son's first fucking Halloween because I was on a listing appointment who didn't list the damn property. You have to have enough pain that you want to. Second is you see enough that you're inspired to. So you watch John do it. You might watch me doing it. You might see something. Oh, I see enough that I'm inspired to. 3 is that I learn enough that I want to. And that's learning. Okay, well, how do I do it? Because a year and a half ago, guys, I didn't understand social. I was like Lars, trying to be in the fucking forest by myself, not talk to anybody. You know what I mean? I didn't understand it. And I hired somebody and paid him $25,000. He makes $1 million. He has 6 businesses that make $1 million a month. His primary mechanism for attraction is social. That's the guy you need to get in proximity to. And he taught me how to do it. Right? So I learn enough that I want to. And then when I'm equipped enough that I'm able to, I've received enough that I'm able to. So I think that to add, so there's 3 things that I think are the highest leverage activities. 1, those lunch and learns. 100% you're getting all 5 of those things happening at one time. 2 is social. 3 is teaching other people how to do it.
Awesome, man. So who on here on this call, and there's a couple things I want to respond to in the chat, who on this call though feels like, I get that lunch and learns and events are powerful and effective, but where I am and where that is, the gap feels too big. Who's honest and feels like that right now? Let's listening to this. Throw a me in the chat. Amanda raised her hand, Steven, Joe, Parsons, Dawn. And I would think most of you that are on here that aren't or haven't done an event feel that way. Hey, I'll throw myself in that ring. That seems like a lot of effort for me too. Like I should be throwing those events in downtown Bozeman right now, but I'm not. But the more I think about it and the more I hear people like Aaron and the more I remind myself that this company was built on that exact strategy. The way that we built this company from 0 to 30,000 when I joined was largely a lunch and learn strategy. The way that AJ built his business was a lunch and learn strategy with other leaders in his market. Some of you which are on this call were participating in that. So what are we going to do about it? Well, how about this, guys? How about the leverage point of the events that are already being done for us? So Aaron talked about 5 different, benefits of doing a live event and how it's compounding his effort. Well, maybe in a corporate run event like EXPCon, there's 2 of them missing. You're not selling your courses there, but there's certainly 3 there. You're getting people inspired, you're getting people presented to, you're getting people trained. They're coming away from that event different, and you're giving them an exposure that's unlike any other. So if you're struggling with events right now, I think that the first and easiest leverage point for you to begin to harness the power of events is plug into the events that are already there. So do you know that you can go to EXPCon and you can bring a guest for free? Do you understand that? I posted it in our Game Changers 2 days ago, I believe, the exact instructions, how if you're already registered and you didn't add a free guest at checkout, you can go back in and add a guest now. So like getting to the event with a VIP guest, critical. You're going anyway. So maximize that leverage point. Something that was thrown in the chat, Matthew Taylor said, it'd be great to have Lars as a guest to explain how we can learn how to leverage real estate B School more efficiently. I'm going to handle that for you right now. So Lars comes in to Game Changers. I come into Game Changers. Game Changers has already been here. The original group was here long before Lars, myself, and many of you on this call. It was already there. It was AJ's group. So everybody doesn't have access to the same level of real estate B School that maybe somebody that Lars recruits personally or somebody in his downline, myself included. Like I don't have access to that. But here's what I do have access to. And here's how I want to simplify things so we can get out of this analysis paralysis that we often fall into. There's 2 reasons why people come to EXP. One, they want to sell houses and they want to do so more efficiently. So more efficiently could be lower cost, better training, better technology, better support, better opportunity. And they also want to build for them an opportunity for their future that doesn't exist anywhere else through the revenue share, through the stock, all of that. So when you look at Game Changers, we serve both sides of that coin every single week. Every single Tuesday, we do a production mastermind and we put world-class training and coaching out there for people that want to sell more homes. Every Thursday, we come together on an attraction call and we help you maintain focus and clarity around what your objectives and goals are when it comes to recruiting, why it's important, what's top of mind, what can help you. Things like, hey, we just released property management. Great, Corey, go run with that. So this is your place to get everything that you need for attraction, one side of the coin. Tuesday's your place to get everything you need for sales. I don't think it needs to be more complicated than that. If between our Tuesday call and everything that we offer in Game Changers and everything that Lars puts in to make those trainings amazing, and everything that EXP has behind that, behind the curtain with EXP University and all the trainings and everything, that's all you need. And you don't need anything more in depth to recruit to than those 2 things. And I'll argue that if you will learn to recruit to those 2 things in the simplest form, with simplicity comes clarity, and with clarity comes conviction, with conviction comes action, you will recruit more effectively. It's not some big complicated thing. When we talk about a social strategy, a social strategy is, hey, find one takeaway from this call that you've already invested your time into, and then share that takeaway socially when you get off here. What's one thing you learned on Tuesday's call? Go share that with the world. and become somebody who adds value first before they request something. Does the guest pass match mine on VIP? No, it does not. So if you're VIP, that costs you $14.95. And if you want to bring a guest and you want them to have a VIP experience alongside you, that will cost you $625, which is still a huge, tremendous discount. So that's awesome. But you can get a free ticket that doesn't cost you anything. Are these lunch and learns model explained at the end? Yeah, I think that's Aaron can answer that, but I think that's what he was alluding to is like he goes into an EXP explained after the initial.
Yeah, so we have a formal presentation of EXP at the end. And part of that transition is what I shared. And then what I would say is like, look, the most expensive thing you can own is a closed mind. Mine was closed for a full year. I was a hard no. I owned part of an office. I thought I had it figured out. What's also true is like, let me ask you guys a question. How do you believe that we see things? What do you think we use to see? And they're all like, well, your eyes. I'm like, well, what if I told you that's not the way that you see? What if I told you that your mind is what actually sees? And it uses your eyes as a mechanism to see. So if my mind is blind to the possibility, my eyes will be blind to the opportunity. There will literally be something right in front of me and I won't see it. So my suggestion to you guys is I'm sure you've been approached and had multiple people talk to you about EXP. Whatever you think you know about EXP, suspend it for the next 20 to 30 minutes. Because my experience is if somebody is hardworking, smart, and ambitious, once this is explained to them in a clear and concise way, they cannot unsee it. You know, Warren Buffett has a saying, there's only few things that you can sufficiently explain to a virgin with words. I need you guys to sit put and pay attention to what I'm about to share with you. Everybody up for this AI? And they're like, oh yeah. And then you just go into the formal presentation on EXP. And all I did there is I took Lars's slide deck and we just kind of messed with it a little bit and tweaked it.
Awesome, man. Joe Grant said, Aaron, how are you empowering your agent to attract? Is your same method get them to events, but you are or were a powerhouse listing specialist and some of us do not have your background?
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I think some people imagine that, you know, you have to, I don't know, sell real estate in high volume in order to be a powerful kind of attractor of agents. And I mean, sure, does it help? Yeah, 100%. Is it entirely necessary? I don't believe so, because the skill sets are different. So what I did was, and this was at Lars's kind of suggestion, is he said, all right, now that you're at this particular level, now what you need to do is look within the organization, because keep in mind, guys, like we need to understand something. 15% of all the agents in the whole company even do this. That means 85% of them, their mind is stuck in the short game. They need money to pay bills. They're just doing deals. And no matter how much you talk to them about it, they're like, meh. So what I'm aware of is I looked at people in the organization that I believe have the capacity to build to 100. Because all you need is 10 of those people and you end up with 1,000, right? So then my job as a leader is to cast the vision. I show them my screen. I show them my Excel spreadsheet and what's possible. I strong-armed 8 of them to come to build with me. So that way they could see the scale and the scope of what's possible, right? Then I do my part to help them, because I don't believe you've recruited something until you help them recruit one person. So I have events and I have them bring into the room. We have people at the front that are signing people in, so we know everybody who's invited who. And that's my way. I help close people for them, right? So it's just me, and then I figure out for them, like, what's the hang up? I'll give you an example. We have somebody, Natalie, in our group. She's a rock star. She's what I would call the TFP. You know what the TFP is? The total fucking package. She's got it all. She's smart. She's beautiful. She does deals. She has 10,000 K on social, but she was doubting herself. You know what leadership is? It's helping her to not doubt herself anymore and to equip her, to have her come. She's seen me do the presentation 10 times. And then me telling her, bringing her to build with me. Dude, you can do this. You can crush this. Then telling her, hey, you're doing an event. And she's like, well, I don't want to do the formal presentation at EXP. Fine, I'll do it. But she does the event, does that. And then the next time I'm like, yo, she had one person partner with her from the event. I said, do you see? Now, the next time you're doing the formal presentation on EXP. So I think it's continued. Like you have to, guys, I can't sell somebody something if I'm not completely sold on it. How are you possibly going to get people excited about attraction if you're not jumping out of your skin about it? It's not possible. You see what I'm saying? So if I'm completely, like the same way I know the sky is blue and the grass is green, guys, if you ever watched The Mandalorian, this is the way. And everybody repeats back, this is the way. I'm completely convinced.
Joe was being really honest in his question. And I think that the thing that we need to address is, well, I wasn't a listing specialist. I can't do what you're doing. And that's what always creeps in, that doubt that like, I'm not good enough. I can't do it. And it's like, well, what about this? Maybe you weren't the best listing agent, or you don't have like this amazing rock star business in your mind, but I bet you know somebody that does. And I bet if you went to 5 people in your market that were the top 5 listing agents, it doesn't matter what company they were with, and I bet if you stroked their ego for 3 minutes and said, I'm going to put an event on and I want you to come teach about listings, I bet you one of those 5 would do it. And now all of a sudden you have a rockstar listing agent and you can put on an event, and then you can still do EXP explained afterwards. And you can, if you fill a room, somebody will come and do it for you.
Yeah,
so like
and
people always ask me like, you know, I'm like, dude, fill a room with 100 people and I'll go anywhere.
yeah, I mean, I called John. We're doing a gala at the end of the year, and I'm like, hey, bro, I'm doing a gala. It's going to turn into Build. There will be thousands of people there. You want to come? He's like, yeah. He immediately, guys, as I was talking to him, he's DMing me. He's like, is it safe to book it? I'm like, yep. So he booked it right away. Like, I promise you, you get people in a room, like these people come. And you remember, your senior partners are your credibility. Just get them on a third-party call and they can help you with that credibility. And as far as that is concerned, you know what popped into my head? There is some major coaches in our game that have never sold real estate once in their life.
Yep. The number 1 recruiter at EXP never sold, I think, more than 10 houses in a year. And yet he's personally recruited 700 people.
Yeah, guys, they're like, a lot of you guys on this call have been through this particular coach's coaching program or are currently in it, and he's never sold real estate in his life.
Amazing. So I have a Matthew Taylor. I want to unmute yourself. I want you to explain what you asked or what you heard, and then I want to address it.
Oh, no, I heard this morning on a call where someone said, because we were talking about only 12% of EXP agents participate in agent attraction. And then a broker, her name's Kay Lynn, I believe, from New Jersey. It was at 6:30 this morning. She said, no, she actually did the numbers and it's actually like less than 5%, not 12. And I was like, oh, I didn't verify it. I just heard it this morning. So I threw that out there when Aaron talked about 12%.
So what she said is less than 5% of people at EXP are doing revenue share. Okay, at a significant level, maybe is what she said. Yeah, so yeah. I would turn that into a positive. I'd be like, you know what? You know what, Matthew? Thank you for saying that, because one of the things that frustrates me as I share this opportunity with people day in and day out is that we're just a company that wants to recruit agents, when in fact, we've become the fastest growing company in real estate with 90,000 agents because we're the best place for agents to sell houses. And we prove that day in and day out. Now, the backside of this is there's an opportunity can set you free. And while, yeah, some of our top people, you know, the top 5% are making hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars per year or millions of dollars a year in revenue share. And that's amazing. You know what I'm really excited about, Matthew? I'm excited about the fact that we're the best place to sell real estate. We can help and support your career. And the backside of that is that we have a recruiting model. And hey, maybe it doesn't equate to millions of dollars for you, but would it make a difference for you and your family if it covered your mortgage and it covered your utilities? And you could effectively retire 10 years from now and not have to worry about money. And oh, by the way, save a boatload of cash along the way. And if you'll take advantage of our agent equity program and invest 5% of your commission check to buy stock at a 10% discount, you can effectively build your own robust agent 401k plan to help supplement you as well. So I appreciate you saying that. And I think it debunks the myth that we're just all about recruiting, because that's not at all what our company is about. And if that's what somebody thought, then they missed the whole opportunity.
Yeah, or if they were fearful of having to do that, like I would explain it that way. Like last year, if we were all about recruiting or agent attraction, then how were we last year the brokerage that closed more transactions than any other brokerage? We're more about productivity and development of the agents than we are in actual agent attraction. So that's how I would spin it. But yeah.
And if somebody's coming and they're more coming from the aggressive side of like, you know, you guys say that this opportunity exists and blah, 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 there's only 5%. I would hit that person right between the eyes and I'd be saying, well, what side of the line do you fall on?
Yeah.
Because for me, when I looked at this opportunity and I saw that there was anybody doing this, when I saw that nobody outside of this opportunity anywhere in real estate has ever achieved anything like this, I said, if one person can do it, I can do it too. Where you stand.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like they're either going to be a victim or a victor. So like, you know, where they at? And the same goes to like what Aaron was talking about is like, hey, you got to identify the leaders in your organization. There's those that want to do and those that will do. And, you know, a good high ROI use of your time is not to try to get the people in your boat that are stranded out in the water. The best use of your time is help the people into your boat that are already swimming towards your boat. The ones that are out there flailing about and not trying to help themselves, you can't help them. You know, Anthony Robbins says it best, you can't create motivation where motivation doesn't exist. Maybe for some people, they're here, they got a community, they got a place to sell homes, and they're happy. And that's all they want for themselves. You can't make them want more for themselves. But if you will get enough reps in and you'll have enough conversations, you're going to come across people that are uniquely wired like yourself that want to do this at a high level and they want to leave a legacy. And this is their best, as Aaron pointed out, opportunity to do that thing. What else you guys got? I just hope that you guys are, you know, leveraging what's already here. So my focus, I'm going to be away for a few weeks. I'm going out of the country on a mission trip to Egypt. When I come back, my main focus, my ROI activity is faces in front of presentations. If I have to do it one-on-one, I'll do it one-on-one. If I can do it one-to-many, I'd rather do it one-to-many. But like, I want to get an opportunity back for game changers to get people in front of the opportunity, a live presentation. So I'm going to commit to at least once a month doing EXP Explain live on these Thursday calls, and we'll announce it ahead of time. It'll be on the calendar. And I want to get you guys getting people in front of the presentation. Like, I love that you show up here for training every week and that you're excited and that you hear me and you're plugged in. I love that about you. But I care enough about you that I want to get you to get people in front of presentations. We have to do that more. That has to be more of the focus. Tom, you got a question?
Yeah. So the past week I've been asking this question. I've just been getting different answers, but now that I've got my front at 10 and I'm feeling, you know, some momentum, but I've only got 3 underneath them. So I'm like, you know, I want to really build this. So part of me says, well, you know, like AJ says, I'll run with the runners, walk with the walkers. How do I mean, I don't want to sit there and push these guys to get people in. And I know I don't have one until they have one, but I mean, help me out here. I want to know really kind of a systematized way to just let them start to get people in under them.
Yeah. So you have 3 people?
No, I've got 10 on my front line and only 3.
And 10, those 10 have 3.
No, I'm saying I've got 13 total, 10 on my
Okay.
front line and 3 on my second.
Yeah. So it always comes back to the same thing. Aaron got 150 people in front of the presentation last week. How many people did you get in front of the presentation last week?
2.
0, right? 2? You got
Yeah.
2? Good for
Yeah.
you. 2 is good. 2 is better than most people on this call, I would argue. So good for you that you got 2. But when you get 2, your organization is 13. When you get 150, your organization will be 187 like Aaron's. And you'll add 37 people in the last 30 days.
I love that. And I think what is really important, Tom, is an equation, and it's V over T. What it stands for is volume over time. So what I'm aware of is that in order to produce 1% outcomes, I was thinking about this recently, like in all the different things that I've done, whether it's selling, 2,000 homes or doing what we're doing with Attraction or other areas in my life, it's never been unique. I haven't created anything new. I didn't create any technology that was new. The uniqueness is execution. Because we can get lost in the tyranny of how, right? It's like, how am I going to do this? I get lost in the tyranny of that. Where instead, if my why is strong enough, I promise you'll come up with any how. It doesn't matter. So the volume over time is people drastically underestimate the volume of activity that's required over an unreasonable amount of time in order to get the 1% outcome, because most people stop. So the great news is we're not in reinvent. These business practices for network marketing have been around since the model's been around. We're not doing anything new. So now the cool part for me is like, oh, it's just volume over time. I do one lunch and learn and one webinar per month, every month. One lunch and learn, one webinar per month, every month. And we've been doing that since September, October. So the really exciting part is once I understand that equation, Tom, now it's just a matter of time. I'm not going anywhere. I just will keep putting forth the volume of activity over the unreasonable amount of time, and we're going to get to the numbers that we want to get to.
Okay.
Ridiculous, man. It's simple. Success is boring. But you know, I go all the way back to that pivotal time in my career where I went to my first training seminar with Craig Proctor, and I had two buddies, one on each side of me, and we were friggin' enamored by what we were hearing, because for the first time in our lives, we heard about a path forward that could help us hit our goals. But you know what? To Aaron's point, they got stuck in how, and I just took the action. And I'm in a totally different place than those two guys. One of them's out of the business completely, and one of them is barely holding on. And
Right.
We've all heard the book Who Not How, but here's a different take on who not how. Your question, Tom, was how can I get these people to get more people, instead of being focused on who do I have to get next? Because the person that's going to make the biggest impact on your business isn't in your business yet. And instead of figuring out how you're going to get more out of them, it's who are you going to get next? And it's the same conversation I had 10 minutes before this call started with one of my frontline agents that's running a successful business that I'm coaching. And we're talking about what's going to make the difference in her business. You're not going to get more out of your people. It's not about how you're going to tweak this or tweak that, and all of a sudden your people are going to become alive and they're going to start making 50 prospecting calls a day and they're going to sell 5 homes a month. That's not going to happen. What needs to happen is, who are you in conversation with that's going to join your team this week, this month? Because more who's are going to solve your problem, not more how.
Love it. Okay. Thank you.
Don't get lost in the tyranny of how.
No, and I agree. And that's what
And
I
I want you to really hear me on something, Tom. There are people doing exactly what you want to do that are less talented than you. And the only difference is they have the fucking courage to do it. That's it. I have sat in meetings where I'm like, you hear about this person, you see them on stage, and I look to the left, I look to the right. Are you people really fucking thinking this is good? Because this is not good. But they just have a lot of attention. They have a lot of charisma. They don't care. They have like more trust in themselves, and they're just doing it. So don't get lost in the tyranny of how.
I know it's like if I get lost in just thinking of, like, I'm thinking, you know, who are these guys, or how can I get all these guys to get people, then I'm losing myself. But if
and I can tell by your language when you're like, I would like a sequential, like you're probably analytical by nature, so you want it to like be like A plus B equals C.
Yeah.
But like what I'm aware of is I would rather you, instead of ready, aim, ready, aim, ready, aim, ready, aim, ready, aim, ready, aim, and never fire, I'd rather you be like fire, 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 and then as it's happening, you figure it out.
Right. I agree. Thank you, man.
Yeah, just like the distinction you had about closing out the room, and like, because you're in the action of doing it, you were able to make a distinction to go from getting half the people in the room to attend to 100% of the people in the room to attend. I try to take away something from everything that I invest time in. So we have this motto in a mastermind that I'm in. It's like, learn one thing. Like, learn one thing. Like, what's one thing that we all learned here today? For me, it was this takeaway of like getting back to lunch and learns. Like, I think if we all started at zero today, I think Aaron's going to beat us all if he's the only one doing that strategy of lunch and learns. And I know some of you guys on this call personally, and I know there's people on this call that are taking more action than 99.9% of all the people in EXP worldwide. But my takeaway is like, what if that action were to be more in alignment with the way Aaron's doing it and less in the way that you're doing it? Like, what if those calls push people to an event? Like, would more people say yes to the event than the discovery meeting? Would more people that go to the event sign up than the people that go to the discovery meeting? Like, how do we work smarter, not harder? And going back to the basics, and what Aaron said, which is true, is like, we're not doing anything different here, guys. We're taking what works in network marketing and applying it to a real estate company with some amazing support technology infrastructure behind it. How do we adopt what's a best practice there here? And I think Aaron's showing us the way. He's doing local events, and then he's going to springboard those local events to the big events so that those people can get a higher level of inspiration. And what did it do for him? So he was already in, he was already committed, he was already doing what he's doing, but he had a new distinction at the build event that set him free. So it's like, get the people in, have the events. The events are the highest leverage point to get people exposed, and then get them to the events where they can have the information go from their head to their heart, and then they can take inspirational courage to do the events as well.
That's right. And the one that's a wonderful kind of question to ask yourself. The one thing I learned at Build, when I was sitting there, I said, oh, Brent's just the guy. This isn't even like EXP's event. And what I told John and Lars is this gala that we're doing that's going to cost us $20,000 to do. That's the ground floor that turns into that.
Yep.
His event is just my lunch and learn at scale. That's all it is.
And here's the thing, guys. Brent used these events to get to where he is. And, Build is the reflection of where he is. Call it close to 7 figures, maybe over 7 figures per month right now. But everybody's going to hit a point where they're good. What are we doing to be the next Brents? Because I think the greatest way we can honor Brent for all he's done for this company and for all of our businesses, for those of us who have attended these kind of events, is to duplicate what he's doing. And Aaron's going to do that. We have to have more of us step up and be the next generation of who's going to be the next Build event 10 years from now.
Right here, bro. Like, it's funny because when you say that, I talked to Jose because he's my sponsor when I was at the event. He's a coaching client of mine. And I looked at him and I'm like, bro, these guys are dope. They're not going to be here forever.
Yep.
The other thing that's true, and I mean this lovingly, they really don't understand social. And
Yep.
we do.
You do.
So you can make them raw, like you could just explode this thing.
100%. Yeah. And it's like the agent 10 years from now is going to look very different from the agent of 10 years ago. And if we're honest with ourselves, Brent's the agent of 10 years ago.
Yep.
I'm the agent of 5 years ago. Who's the agent of 10 years now? And we have to build the event that's going to serve that if we want this thing to have legs and longevity to it, which once you get it to a certain point, it recycles itself for you. That's one of the most amazing things about this. And that's why I'm like, hey, if you're a real estate coach and you're the most successful real estate coach, this is why you need to look at EXP, because you can't coach 20 years into the future. You're irrelevant. And many coaches are. Some of the best coaches that were are no longer the best coaches anymore. I wouldn't go to Craig Proctor today to learn from him, but dang, in 2006, he was amazing. Matthew, you had something?
Oh, I was going to say Will Higgins from Anaheim. He's doing like you talked about, the importance of events. I know he'll invite panels of brokers or agents from other brokerages to speak on their expertise. And he said the last event, some lady who's a top producer joined him saying, my own brokerage hasn't ever had me on a panel, and she liked the culture. So it's those events that are getting him his downline.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing them. I mean, I can think of, Aaron's doing them, Michelle Wilson's doing them, Kenny Fast is doing them, from Fast Agent, Dan Beard, Tina Call, like these things work. The principles are the principles, and the principles that you need to unconsciously, competently know is peak, present, pass, and promote. If you can leverage that process through events, great. If it's not you, get somebody who it is them and plug them in. But I think it's amazing.
That's right.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man or woman is king or queen. If I can see something that other people can't, it's an incredible advantage. Incredible advantage. And I want everybody to understand something. This is YouTube for agents. YouTube went to their content creators in 2009 and said, hey guys, we need you. We need you to create content for our platform and keep people here, because that's how we make money. So what we're going to do is if you have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, we will give you half of the revenue that we generate from ads on your content. Now, let me ask everybody on this call a question. Is that a scam? No, that is an economic model called revenue sharing, which caused them to become the second largest search engine in the world. Google was like, oh shit, we can't have this. And Google bought YouTube. EXP says to us as agents, if you bring agents to our platform, I need you to understand something. Brokerages are just platforms to process transactions. That's all they are, mixed with a little kumbaya and some fucking hand-holding. They're just platforms to process transactions, okay? So they say to us, if you can bring agents to our platform and they sell stuff, we will give you a portion of the $16,000 that they send back to us. That's what this is. It is YouTube, but for agents. And the reason why I'm so jacked, bro, you realize YouTube made 15-year-olds millionaires? The Paul brothers, they are not the fucking sharpest knives in the drawer. They are making $10 million a fight. He started Prime Energy Drink and he's going to be a billionaire. That's what this is. We have this opportunity at our disposal, which is like insane. So as long as I'm clear on that and I'm clear on the reason why I'm doing this, bro, with the right why, you will come up with any how. It doesn't, like the how becomes irrelevant.
I'm going to close out on that, bro, so that everybody can go back and watch the last 3 minutes of this recording. If that doesn't inspire you, then I failed at my job, and so be it. But man, thank you so much for sharing today. Thank you for what you're doing. You're an inspiration to me, and I know many others, and I just want to encourage you to keep it up, and I look forward to being at that gala on January 24th.
That's what's up. The first of many. There will be thousands in the room. I promise you one day. So let's go be great, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
See ya.